Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Thank you for joining me for folks' favorite Fandom Friday. Now, on these Fridays, I get the chance to visit with somebody from the wider world of the Tolkien fandom: writers, musicians, artists, craftsmen, scholars, content creators, and more. Now, as I said last week when I chatted with Varking, I'm doing something a little different for the rest of Series 7. I'm going to be spending the rest of this series, Fandom Fridays, chatting with other folks in the Tolkien community who were at San Diego Comic-Con and the Amazon events in order to share their experiences and their takes with you. Now, because I want to catch everybody when their memories are fresh, I'm actually talking with most of these folks shortly after Comic-Con in the first week or so of August. That means that most of these interviews are actually going to release after Season 2 drops, which starts on Thursday, August 29th. Please keep that in mind in case anybody has any predictions that end up looking totally off base in a few weeks. Now, let's go ahead and get to today. Our guest today is a graduate of Signum University. She earned her MA there in 2019 with a focus on Tolkien and medieval studies. She's a huge fan of Beowulf, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and the Arthurian legend. And all I can think of when I think of the Arthurian legend is a dude riding around with a guy with coconuts. But that's just me. Now, if you do know her, and you might most likely do, it could be because you're one of the more than 20,000 people that follow her on Instagram, where she regularly posts about Tolkien, well, with a bookshelf that even makes me jealous. Folks, please welcome Kelly at the middle page to today's Tolkien Times.
Hi, Alan. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Kelly. It's my pleasure. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who don't know, I've actually gotten to do a couple of book signings at her store. So it's just been, this has been a long time coming. We've been meaning to get her on for a while. Now, Kelly, since you're new to the TTT, I do want to start with a question that I ask everybody on both shows. Tell us about when you first experienced Tolkien's works and what is it about them that keeps you coming back?
I love this question. I love hearing people's answers, and I love answering.
I know. Fun.
So my father actually read me the Hobbit when I was 8 years old, about 9 years old. And I fell in love with it. I think he read it to me and my siblings, but I was the only one that was like, I need more. Show me more.
Yeah.
So that was about probably like 1999, 2000. And so I think he knew that the Lord of the Rings films were coming out. And I think I still have not confirmed with him, but I think he had the thought, if my daughter's going to read the Lord of the Rings, she's going to do it before the films. Yes. He went straight on to reading me the Fellowship of the Ring when I was about 10, 11 years old. And I just never looked back. I just fell in love. I was that kid. The story I like to tell, there was an assignment for my 6th grade class to show up dressed as your hero. And people came dressed as, Einstein and like just these real historical people that made an impact in this very real world. And I asked my dad to make me a Gandalf costume because Gandalf was my hero and he still is my hero. So my father read me Lord of the Rings, and I finished reading it because I couldn't wait for him to come home from work and read me the final Return of the King. It was my introduction, and that was the same year that Fellowship came out in theaters. So I have fond memories of my father reading me the novels, and then going to the movies with him and talking about them with him, and going to Burger King and getting all the toys and all of that. So it's a very special time. I probably dropped out a little bit of the fandom in high school, and then quickly picked it back up when I was in college.
Yeah. Well, clearly after, earning your MA in that. So,
kind of like what you just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. Well, you have a really relaxing and enjoyable presence on Instagram. I mean, the posts give off this comfy sort of sitting in a nice bookstore cafe sort of vibe. I want to have you tell us a little bit about how you built that brand, if you will. I hate even using that word, but how you built that feel, that style, and what you hope your social media presence will provide for the fandom.
Yeah, totally. I actually started the account way back in when I first started going to Signum. That was a long process for me just because life happens. And you're in and out of school. But I started the account just because I wanted a social media account, but also a blog. I used to have a blog that I wrote on for a couple of years as a place to just put extra thoughts that I had. I was reading these works and I was falling even more in love with fantasy and Tolkien. And I had little essays in my head that were, in addition to my assignments in class. And I wanted a place to put down those thoughts, and I wanted to create a sort of community around that. And I've been in and out of both, the blog and the social media aspect throughout the years because, life happens.
Yeah.
But I really kicked things back up right before season 1 of Rings of Power. So, and I just kind of thought I saw this kind of area where I could just talk about Lord of the Rings, something that I already loved so much. And I also saw a need for more women in that field because it still seems kind of male dominated, but
it is.
In reality, it's not. Like, there are so many female creators and readers and fans. And lovers of Tolkien's works. And I just thought I should be one of them. So that's what I did. And probably around the same time, I also just wanted to, 2020 was such a hard year, and the years following was still hard for everybody. And I just wanted to create a little bit of magic and a little bit of peace to somebody's everyday life. So if you're scrolling Instagram or social media, I just kind of wanted to give a feel of the comfort that Tolkien gives me, the comfort that Bilbo talks about in his own little hobbit hole. So I just wanted to create a community of comfort and joy, and an area where we could study and look at Tolkien's works in depth. And so I hope to continue more of that. I have been so amazed at the community that has happened, and the way that the community has also just welcomed me when I went on TikTok again, probably a couple of years ago, right before Rings of Power, and I didn't know anything that I was doing, and the community just opened their arms and immediately started, talking to me and welcoming me, and I have felt so welcomed since, and it's such a joy to be part of this community, and I have real life friendships that 2 years ago, I didn't know these people existed, and now I see them pretty regularly. I see Miranda pretty often, and I was just in San Diego Comic-Con and got to see a bunch of people who I've been talking to on the internet, and even see some of them for like the second, third time, which is wild because we all live in different areas of the world. So it's been very cool.
That is cool. That's actually one of the aspects I enjoy as well. It's phenomenal to get to know these people from all around the world. And, you mentioned San Diego Comic-Con, and it's time to get into our experiences there. What were your highlights from the Thursday night event, that special reception that Amazon held, or maybe Hall H on Friday? Was there anything you learned at either event that has made you either more or maybe surprisingly less excited for the launch of season 2 of The Rings of Power?
Ooh, I don't know about less excited. I think just feeling the joy and excitement from everybody around you, just like you're able to enter that same level of excitement. So just being in such a creative environment, like these are people who not only love Tolkien's work, but also love the act of creating and the art of acting and writing. So they're really creative spirits. And when they have an audience, that joy just kind of seeps through. So I really enjoy talking to Patrick, the showrunner. I think his excitement shows, I think, the most. And he was sort of just the whole night just kind of being like, ask me anything. So we were asking him things, and meeting all the cast was really cool too. It was definitely an experience because you're just all in the same room with each other. And so I talked to Robert, who plays Elrond, and he was going and diving in deep Silmarillion stuff because he loves Tolkien. So just getting to talk to him about, he was like, it's really cool. Name the dwarf, name the petty dwarf. He's so cool. And so he was just going off. So that was really fun. And then Hall H was definitely, it was my first time in Hall H, and it was really cool to see all the actors, again, their excitement, their joy. One of the things that I got so really excited to hear, there was an audience question about, from someone from the LGBTQ community, and asking hey, will we be able to see ourselves on screen? And I think was, I don't remember if it was Patrick or JD, but one of them was like, you already have. So that was really cool. So there's definitely going to be a queer romance in Rings of Power. At least that's what it sounds like. And I think that is extremely important and something that I think many people will look forward to. So that has me really excited. The question about Glorfindel has me excited because there was an audience member who also asked about Glorfindel. He's never really been in any adaptations, and will he be in Rings of Power? And that was like the quickest yes that I think anyone, like, I don't know if the question was like, is there a chance, or like, will he for sure be? But it was a quick yes, because they said 5 seasons is a lot. That's a lot of time to talk about stuff. So definitely some highlights, just talking to people who are excited about what they do. It's really cool.
That's awesome. It was a fun time too. And I agree with you about sort of the conversations with Patrick being the highlight in many ways for me as well. By the way, surprise casting announcement for Glorfindel, Liv Tyler. Since Peter Jackson essentially cast her in that role. All right. Glorfindel aside, any wild predictions for season 2 that you want to go on the record with? Don't worry, we'll go easy on you if they don't come true.
I have a prediction, and I don't think I've heard many people talk about it, but it's not that wild because I feel like it's pretty obvious. But I think Isildur's sister, I always forget the name of.
Aarion? Yeah.
Aarion, yeah. She is, like, she's definitely going to build the temple to Morgoth, right? Like, the builder.
She's an architect.
Architect. Like, I know that there's some, like, hey, if we have female Nazguls, like, she's going to go that route. Like, maybe both. But I think we're going to see more of that.
All right.
I don't know if this is a prediction, but I hope to see Galadriel interact with the Dwarfs of Khazad-dûm. Because she does in the text.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's definitely reason for her to. I think that'd be cool because we haven't really seen that yet.
There would. I agree. All right. Well, Kelly, if folks want to follow you on social media, where's the best place for them to find you?
So on Instagram, I am just the middle page. And on TikTok, I believe it's the middle dot page because the middle page was already taken.
Oh, no. All right. Well, I hope folks look you up. Your content is spectacular, and I'm looking forward to more as well. Kelly, thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to see you at San Diego Comic-Con last month, and I hope I actually get to see you again before Rings of Power Season 3 comes out. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your show and love talking to you always.
Thank you. Well, folks, that is it for today's Fandom Friday, but come back next Friday to meet another of your fellow Tolkien fans and maybe even learn what niches of the community you might be interested in exploring or contributing to. And if you're interested in joining me here for a future Fandom Friday, let me know by emailing bartleman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, a bonus weekly episode, and more. And then please join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times as we wrap up the week with Second Age Saturday. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know the drill by now. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and please follow or subscribe in your podcast apps. Follow @Tolkien Times on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.